Hello everybody, this is Craig from 9Volt Games, and it's time to talk about it. I've avoided talking about this game, except for in comments, forever. So let's do it. This is Silent Hill Homecoming. Now, few things, okay? This game starts off in Shepherd's Glen. Doesn't start off in Silent Hill. Now listen, I'll tell you why I don't like it. Now, Double Helix made this game. Yes, we're guilty of this one. So actually, someone actually put someone put yesterday that that Silent Hill Homecoming reminds them of Origins, and I said it's just because of the music and having Travis in the beginning, but really they're made by separate companies. There was a lot of promise in this for me. Double Helix was a new company taking the reins of Silent Hill after Team Silent, after Climax kind of me, right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, listen. What happened was, this game looked amazing. And then I started to notice things about it during previews. So I was excited for this because it was a new, fresh face behind Silent Hill. It seemed like a new original story. And I thought that, you know, after 4, I thought, you know, maybe they were going to recapture what made Silent Hill great. And then I started to notice things as more information about this game leaked out. Because after the initial reveal trailer, which was just a symbol, and then it was Alex talking about, you know, I'm going to be coming home and blah, blah, blah. First off, he's kind of handy with weapons, which I don't think any Final Fantasy, any Silent Hill protagonist should be handy with weapons. I think that they all should be everyday men or women, and you know, just basically like scrambling around like, fuck, what do I do? Fuck, what do I do? He was proficient with a weapon because of the whole military, maybe not military background. I don't know. This is a newer one, so I won't. You know what? Maybe I'll spoil the story. Maybe I won't. We'll see how amped up I get about it. But anyways, that's one thing I didn't like about it. But I'm not going to fault the game for that because it's a new protagonist. We don't know what his story is, blah, blah, blah. You know, they put an emphasis on that ex-military thing right in the beginning. And then they started showing videos of how it switches to the other world. And I noticed that it was a lot less like Silent Hill switching to the other world and more like Silent Hill, the movie, switching to the other world. And I was like, oh boy, they're taking a cue from the movie. And the movie wasn't bad. The first movie wasn't bad. It was good as its own thing. It was good as a cinematic adventure because you can't really capture all of Silent Hill 1 in a 2-hour movie. You can't do it. So I think with the time restrictions that they had and the budget and blah, blah, blah. Actually, I think they had a huge budget. But with the time restriction they had, I thought they did well with it, especially putting a twist on the story, much like why I like Shattered Memories. It was like a different take on it, and it's not going to change the original story, so why not? They took too many liberties with Revelations. That's why I hated it. So, once again, I saw that. I said, oh boy, it changes like the movie. Let's not do this. Then I heard rumors, and it stayed, that Pyramid Head was going to make an appearance in Silent Hill Homecoming. That's where I started to draw the line. I was like, I hope this guy's got some kind of deep connection to James, because that's James's monster. He should not see it. That's the reason. Now, I know some of you are like, Silent Hill Homecoming is not a terrible game. It's not a terrible game. Silent Hill Homecoming is a good game. Is it a good Silent Hill game? No. Just because I think it's a good horror game. I honestly do. And if they let Double Helix just make a survival horror game, if Konami wasn't so fucking scared of new IPs, and they just said Double Helix, they're like, you know what? Silent Hill, we should put the kibosh on it, leave it the way it was, bring it back 10 years later, just make your own game. And then they could have had it in Shepherd's Glen. They could have done like, this is a spiritual successor, but it's not, and it would have been great. The fact that they called this Silent Hill, and they went ahead and they put the Pyramid Head in here, and his last name's not Sunderland, pissed me off. It did. And he wasn't, you know, he was just like, it was like how they used in the first movie. I didn't get so upset with it because I was damn sure they weren't going to make Restless Dreams into a movie. So I was like, well, you know what? It's just a cameo. This is just a treat for us fans of Silent Hill. Being like, this might be your only chance to see Pyramid Head on the big screen, blah, blah, blah. In the video game canon, Not everybody sees Pyramid Head. It was established in part 2 that everybody's Silent Hill looked different. Angela's was on fire. Eddie had dead bodies everywhere. And James had the monsters that were from sexual repression and things to do with Mary. And the Pyramid Head ended up, I'm pretty sure, I know it was left to player interpretation, but I'm pretty sure that everyone's in consensus that Pyramid Head was actually James. That's why you couldn't see his head. And he was acting as the executioner, as James was the executioner. That's why it always showed Pyramid Head killing Maria over and over again. Not everybody else saw the things that James saw. Laura didn't even see monsters at all. So, why was Pyramid Head in here? Well, if you got one ending, Alex became fucking Pyramid Head, which we are to assume that he was the monster that was going to Silent Hill for James. That's fucking stupid. That's... Ugh. And you know what? You know what this has in common with the other ones I don't like? It's not Climax Studios. It's not Vatra. It's not Double Helix. It's Tom Hewlett. That motherfucker. He was a producer on this game. And this was the game that Akira was pretty much like, I'm out of here. Like, and it's bad enough. They should have never called it Silent Hill. And now let's talk about this. The graphics in this, when it came out, even still now, they're pretty good. They're fantastic, I think, for a 360 game. I always say, graphics does not a good game make. And that makes sense to me as I say it. The graphics are uneven in here. And that causes a problem with me. It causes a problem to the point I couldn't finish Evil Within because the graphics were so uneven. Like, one thing would look fucking amazing, and then something else would look horrible, and they start contrasting with each other. And it pulls me out to analyze graphics. And if I start doing that in the game, it's taking me out of what you're trying to give me in terms of story. And one of my favorite... I actually had a lot of parts in here that I thoroughly enjoyed. And one of my favorites was the boss, so forgettable because of this. I can't even remember her fucking name. The little girl with the dolls. Where she was the giant doll. The boss that came out of the blood of her father. Right? Picked his body up. That was such a cool scene. That was a very well-made boss. And I think all the bosses in this were very well made. And it was like, the dad was covered in blood. Her father was covered in blood. It looked so fake. You know what I mean? I know everything in here is not supposed to look realistic, but it looked so cheesy, like horror B-movie cheesy, that when she actually came out of the blood and was lifting his body, which still is my favorite part, even though the beginning of it was so corny, it took away from that whole reveal of her. And that was... I don't know. That sucks, because that's like one of my worst... That's like one of the worst parts of the game for me, and one of the best parts of the game for me. Another one's when the fucking basement's flooded. And you know something's coming out of the water. You just don't know when the fuck it's coming out of the water. That was pretty awesome. As far as the enemy designs in this go, the nurses in this are my favorite nurses in any of the Silent Hills. The way that they're designed. Because these nurses would have fit so well in Silent Hill 2 with what they're supposed to mean. Now, I'm not entirely... I mean, I know what nurses represent to him, okay? In this game, that's for the end of the game, the end reveal, so I won't ruin that. There was a couple cool points in this. Oh, I was still talking about nurses. The nurses, they were over-sexualized. I understand why there's nurses in this game, but I think these types of nurses, the really like sexy ones with the fucked up face, these ones would have fit perfectly in Silent Hill 2. Like if they were ever go back and do a 100% remake as a I'm sorry for not remaking it, then they could put them in there. And then you got your standard, you got your fucking dogs. And then there was one, Siam? I think it's Siam. I'm not sure. The one that had the hulking dude with the fucking lady tied up on his back. And I mean, when you beat that, the first one, it gives you an achievement that says Shades of James. So, it's like they based the enemies in this game around the other people of Silent Hill, and I didn't like that. It was not like they were coming straight from Alex's brain. I don't know. I found that irritating. It's kind of like they wanted to emulate 1 and 2, and 1 being the cult, because the cult was a huge part of this. And that was one. Pyramid Head, Silent Hill 2 should have nothing to do with this. Cult is like the Mason family, you know, and it gets worked in to Cheryl and Alessa. And I feel like if you're not going to have them as a main focal point, don't put the cult in here. I understand with the parents and, like, you know, how you deal with his parents towards the end of the game. I think it's fucking awesome that you have those choices, because Silent Hill is generally like, you know, as you do things, it changes the ending of the game. The older Silent Hills, this one was flat out like, make a choice now, and then you do it. And like when it came to his mother, I instantly regretted my choice. So that was pretty cool. The fact that I made an immediate choice and it made me instantly regret it. That was pretty good of them. So kudos to them. And what kind of makes me sad is that, you know, like I said, it was kind of like they tried to emulate the old Silent Hills, so they tried to make a new game be like the old Silent Hills, and the result was not a Silent Hill. You do not put Pyramid Head in the game just to be cool. And this is not Double Helix's fault. They did not write the game. I think that their actual work of the game was awesome. I didn't mind the combat system. I know I'd say Silent Hill should not be combat heavy, but the fact that the protagonist was handy with a weapon, I guess, kind of excuses the combat heavy portion of this. I think that if Double Helix had competent writers, original writers, someone with fresh perspectives, and taking the route they should have taken after Silent Hill 2, or maybe after 3, is go back to where everybody's experience is going to be unique, the way that they set the tone in 2, and then they never fucking continued with it. If Double Helix had got to stay with Konami and produce the next game, which wouldn't have been Downpour if they ended up making it, if they had stayed with them, because Double Helix has progressed into something awesome. They had fucking Killer Instinct. They redid Strider. It was amazing. I think that it would have been amazing. I love just saying amazing. I fucking love that word. But I think they would have done a really good job if they had proper writers and a proper producer who wasn't talking shit all the time about how he wants to remake Silent Hill 2 and bring Silent Hill 2 back. That's all that dude wanted. And if you're gonna take Pyramid Head and you're gonna put him in a fucking game, don't use the movie Pyramid Head. Use the game Pyramid Head. You know what I'm talking about. You can't use this big jacked fucking Pyramid Head. That's not what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be an average sized dude with a fucking pyramid on his head. It looks like a sink. Ugh. That was another thing. I was like, right when I saw Pyramid Head, I got a little excited. I got a little heart boner, if I may. A little spike. I was like, ooh. And then I really thought about it. I was like, you don't fucking belong here. Who are you? You know what I mean? And that ending just pissed me off. Like, they just have a factory where they take tormented souls and they make pyramid heads out of them. It was, I don't know. So, yeah. I don't really hate Homecoming. I thought Homecoming was great. It's not worth more than one playthrough for me. I mean, that's a lie. I played it twice. It's not worth more than 2 playthroughs. I think I started it a third time, too, and just ended up playing something else and didn't finish it. So maybe I'll go back and finish it again. But it's not like, I don't know. It's not a terrible game. It's playworthy. Like, if you've never played Homecoming, now that you know what to expect, and I didn't ruin the story for you, play Homecoming. It's not a bad game. It's a good horror game. There's some decent scares in there. There's a good story in there. I just wish that they wouldn't use the cult outside of Alessa, and I wish they wouldn't use Pyramid Head outside of James, and I wish everything was still unique. Alright? That's the one thing, kind of, that Downpour had going for it. Which will be tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching.